Hello fellow cultivators, and this is a video to talk about most easy and new player friendly build in the game Tale of Immortal. And with this build you can basically win the game without any problem, and no matter which difficulty you are in. It is viable in normal, it is viable in chaos. And in fact, personally I hate this build. It's because it is so boring that you are basically invincible all the time. And this is also the reason why if you look through my channel, this will probably be the only video you will find about this build. However, it is most easy one, and if you are having difficulties in this game, you should try this, or at least try some part of it. And before I tell you how this build works, let me just show you an example here. Now, I am using basically the key point of this build is wind motion skill, which allows you to be invincible. Now the question is, how do you keep the wind motion skill all the time? And so to do that, you need a sword martial skill, sword special skill. It can be sword slash as what I'm showing now. It can also be a bleed build with moon shadow sword. Shadowless sword. That is another way. And if you look at mine skills, just as a demonstration how easy you can use this build to be, I have no mind skill equipped. That's why at late Transcendent my attack and defense, my HP and MP are so low. I mean, for newer players who haven't gone to this stage, you might think, wow, 6000, that's really high, but without any mind skills equipped, which means you are really only have the basic stats with you, and 6000 is really low at this stage. What I'm only equipping is a sword mastery, and I set everything to be gray. So the only two most useful sub-skills is a double motion skill cooldown reduction, and I have a little bit of special skill reduction. This is just here because later on I will show what are other things which makes this build a bit better, and this is one just here. Now, also, in order to show this, again, just for the showcase view, I added this character so that I only have this one single destiny, Blade of Heaven's Eye, which allows me to deal minimum damage to the enemies. This is because if I do not have this, with this much attack, when I hit any enemy at this stage, it probably will do only 1 damage. But with Blade of Heaven's Eye, you can get higher damage. And this is a sect destiny. You can always use a particular item to change your sect destinies and to roll this one. And I do not have any other destinies with me with this much. And let's see how it goes if I go to the tower in the Trio region, so the high risk difficulty tower, and this is chaos. Okay, to start I can just use my wind motion, and once this is finished I just use it again. And as you can see, there's no real cooldown of a wind motion, and I am continuously doing damage. And because I have Blade of Heaven's Eye, basically every time any of my damage deal with him, it will deal some damage. And he cannot do anything to me. Of course, because I do not have any mind skills, my damage is so low that it will take much longer time to kill it. And this is why you probably won't see the end of this video, end of this battle, because time is running out. However, you get the idea, and if I have any single mind skill equipped, then you know that Duncan would be already been gone. And you can see during the entire 1 minute battle, not a single damage was taken. Now, alright, let's start to explain how does this thing work. And to do that, let's first look at what this wind motion does. The wind motion allows yourself to transform into a tornado, and during this entire time you are invincible. And also you can do damage, you can deal damage with your martial skill and with your special skill. And so the whole idea is you want to keep you in this tornado mode all the time. Now, the basic cooldown of this skill is 13.3 seconds, and you can have the sub skills as you can shown here. The 10th sub skill, the motion skill cooldown -3, so this brings down the cooldown of this skill to 10.3 seconds. And tornado duration, the basic is 3 seconds, and a sub skill +3 make it 6 seconds. Now 6 second duration, and once you finish, you need to wait for 10 seconds for the cooldown to go back again. Now the question is, how do you get rid of this 10 seconds cooldown? So first of all, and this is why this is the most important thing in the entire build, is a sword mastery. So mastery is a type of mind skill which typically the base idea is to increase your crit, but the true purpose of mastery is to bring down the cooldown of your skills. And if you look at the 10th sub skills, this is for every single mastery, not need to be sword. Any type of mastery, it can have this sub skill that if a legendary or mythic motion skill is equipped, legendary means orange, mythic means red, and the skill's cooldown -25%. So 10 seconds minus 25%, which make it become around 7.5 seconds. And now is the key point. For sword mastery, you can have another sub skill, which is the last one, cooldown motion skill -50%. And this makes it from 7.5 to less than 4 seconds, so 3.8 seconds-ish. And this itself is already quite powerful. And how to get rid of 3.8 seconds, the gap? Now you need to use, this is the reason why you need to use sword skill. So look at, for example, there are two types. One is use Gale Sword. And if you look at my Gale Sword, and look at the last sub skill, you have at least 8 stacks of sword slash when casting this skill. The cooldown for motion skill -8 seconds. And you can see that even without the sword mastery, this -50%, even with 7.5 seconds cooldown, if I have 8 stacks of sword slash when casting my special skill here, I will get rid of all the motion skill cooldown. And now even I have 3.8 seconds -8, just making down to 0. This is why I can continuously casting my tornado all the time. And to get 8 stacks of sword slash is quite easy. Like you just need to use your martial skill to apply sword slash. And martial skill, like every single build in this game, you can the third sub skill or the fourth one here, for that. It's always upon hitting an enemy, it has either 15% chance to grant you a stacks of a buff applied to yourself, or in case of a bleed, you have 30% chance to apply a stack of the debuff on the target. And the maximum stacks of the martial skill base level at Transcendent is 7. If you add lower realm, you will be less. And basically, now with a sub skill here, if you look at the 5th sub skill, it actually adds 3 maximum stacks to this, so it will become 10. And lower levels will become a bit higher, less than 10, but higher than the base max stacks. And if you want to make, so this will bring my maximum stacks already to 10. Therefore, I can have 8 stacks of sword slash in order to activate the cooldown reduction. However, if you add lower realm, you might not only want the sub skill here, but you can also use, first thing you can always use is Artifact Spirit Meng Yi. So she is this fox spirit. You can get her as early as Qi Condensation, so realm 3. What you need to do is go to the Fallen Valley at Huafeng region, clear it, and you have a chance to get her. And her passive talent is here, that it will increase your maximum stacks of those buff or debuffs by 3. And if you just upgrade her to the maximum, just 1 here, and then you just combine her with an artifact, and then equip this artifact. Then you get +3 again. So for me, I already have 7 + 3 now becomes 13. And finally, if you do not have money, or if you are at really low realm and you need to get that 8 stacks, what you can do is to equip a sword secret manual, and this will something make this build more easier to use. Not only because it can add the maximum stacks of sword slash plus 3 or duration plus 12 seconds, but also if you look at the fourth sub-skill here, every time you cast motion skill, you will instantly receive 6 stacks of sword slash. So this, if you have this sub-skill with it, really makes it very easy. You just need to build up your maximum sword stack, sword slash to 8 stacks. You cast your motion skill, you automatically get 6 stacks. You do some attack, get 2 again. You use your special skill, then your motion skill cooldown becomes 0 again. And that's how you get all the time motion skill. Now you might have the question, the next question is, so yeah, this happens once, and I'm using my tornado again, but 6 seconds, so 3 plus 3, 6 second duration later, what if my special skill cooldown is not recovered yet? Because you see the basic cooldown is 10 seconds, and in my case I do have this sub-skill here. If a legendary or mythic special skill is equipped, the cooldown reduced minus 22.5 seconds. So this brings the 10 seconds to about 7-8 seconds. But that is still higher than 6 second duration, right? Well, of course, because first of all, you have this cooldown reduction within the skill itself. As you can see, the 9th one, skills cooldown minus 2. So this already brings it down to 8 seconds. And also, this is time you can bring in a sword divine power. Oh, and I just forgot to mention, secret manual is the manual for spiritual resistance. But again, the main point is not spiritual resistance, but more like the maximum stack and duration of those buffs and debuffs, and some special effects. Similarly, divine power, it is a thing mainly for basically meaning to increase your martial resistance. But what we are looking here is the last sub-skill here. Every time you cast a motion skill, the cooldown of special skill minus 6 seconds. This is a special sub-skill in the sword divine power. And with this, you can guarantee that every time you use a motion skill, not only you have 6 stack of sword slash, also your cooldown special skill will minus 6 seconds, which means once you cast your motion skill, you can always cast your special skill again to reduce the cooldown of motion skill. Therefore, with these 3, you are really ready to go. You don't even need anything, attack, defense, because you are not even getting hurt. And for the attack, since this guarantees you a minimum attack, so that is good as well. And if you're asking how do I get those, red rarity of secret manual, mastery, and divine power, well, the answer is quite easy. In your sect, there will always be the clan treasure, which, if in this case I have lightning, but I can have sword. If you join a sect with sword as the main martial arts, you will always find a lot of the red rarity of secret manual, mastery, and divine power in the clan treasure. If you are not sect leader, you can get it by spending your contribution. And if you are sect leader, it's much more easy. Not only you get it for free, but also you can conquer other sects to get the sword one, an element, into your sect, which allows you to have a lot of options, so that you can find the correct mind skill which with the correct sub skills. Because not every single mind skill will have, for example, double cooldown reduction here. And if you want more information about how to manage a sect, being a sect leader, you can look at my sect manage video. The link will be in the descriptions. And basically that's how Windsword works. And of course, as I mentioned right in the beginning, you don't need to use sword slash plus scale sword. Another way is to use a bleed with a shadowless sword. And the whole idea is still the same. With a mastery, you reduce the cooldown of your wind motion to 3.7 seconds. And now to get rid of the last 3 point something seconds, what you can use the Satellite Sword, and it need to have this one sub-skill, which is the 10th one here. For every stack of bleed denoted, the cooldown motion skill minus 0.7 seconds. And that means if you have 6 stacks of bleed, you can reduce the cooldown to 4.2 seconds, and that you already get rid of 3.7. And even if you do not have a great mastery, or you do not have them comprehended to maximum, with a lot of stacks, and in total you can have 16 stacks or 13, then you basically manage to get your cooldown reduction as well. And it's just, but of course, if you are using Shadowless Sword, you need to use a martial skill which applies bleed instead of sword slash. And yeah, so that's basically how it works. And later I will probably show you how to make this build better if you are not happy with the low damage. Because one really problem of this build is damage is low. As you can see just now, I couldn't even kill the Duncan in the correct time. Yeah, granted, I'm not equipping any mind skills. Of course, this build will also allow you to deal with higher realm NPCs. And to show you example again, even though I am at Transcendent late, but I am not using any correct like attack or defense or HP mind skills, so I have very little HP, attack, and defense. In contrast, this NPC here has much higher vitality, much higher attack. Her defense is higher than my attack, and I will go into spar with her. And one of the key points of fighting this NPC and more difficulty part is NPC moves around very fast, and you need to hit them in order to build up your stacks of your sword slash or bleed. And especially for a Earth NPC, it's very hard to hit her especially when she's using the motion skills. And I will also not using my eye skills or my heavenly skills, just to show you that, because even if I use those two, it will be much easier to defeat her. But you might not be using an eye, or you might not have a heavenly skill if you are actually have much lower realm NPC. You at a much lower realm against high realm NPC. So let's see. And let's start the battle. And she is using her motion skill immediately. So now she's up. I'm using my wind motion, and I can use my special skills because I managed to build up 8 stacks of sword slash. And now she's using motion skill again, and immediately my sword slash just went away. So I need to get 8 stacks. Okay, again, I'll use it again. You see that as soon as I'm hitting her, her HP goes down pretty fast. But now I am stuck by her ult, and now she's using heavenly skill. I have to keep on using the motion skill to keep myself alive. And should be done really fast now. Yep. As you can see, it's done. And it is not that easy, especially against NPCs which can dodge your attack. The main point, you want to build up your stacks, and that is the most difficult part. However, be very careful against any cultivator whose down mind which allows them to summon a female Duncan, because the female Duncan target attack can go through in skill and you will still die. And if you want to see a more upgraded, let's say more powerful version of the Sword Wind build, so this is an example. You don't need to build it as exactly as what I did, but this is my thought about it, and it's mainly because the main problem of this build is it doesn't have really high damage, and because you are using wind motion instead of fire motion to generate fairy flames, so you can't even use fairy flames with fire secret manual to increase the damage. That is the standard way. And yeah, if you're interested in other builds, you can look at my other videos. But for Sword Wind, if we do not use a fire secret menu, and let's say I just want to use Sword one, because after all, this plus 6 stacks of sword slash when using motion skill can make me feel safer that I will have enough 8 stacks of Sword Slash to reduce the cooldown. And then the next way is to use Fifth Divine Power. And therefore, I have, of course, you need to use a good attack menu to bring up your attack. And you want your mastery to have all kind of cooldown reduction, but that's generally good. And instead of Blade of Heavenly Eye, which is mostly just to guarantee a minimum damage, I have a standard normal build like with Blood Power, and then I choose Blood 3 Blood Energy. This is my choice in this build because it gives me minus 20% cooldown so that I can cast my Gale Sword more frequently. And then, of course, now this is the thing I choose to have combat experience bare hand instead of the weapon one, because sword ultimate is actually quite easy to trigger. I don't even think you need combat expertise. And in order to use a fist out, which grants me stun to work with the fist divine power, I want to use a fist ultimate so that I can stun enemy to increase my critical damage. And therefore, to use this thing, I need to have combat expertise. And then just a standard Conceal Nirvana so that you don't get one shot in case you didn't manage to press down your space key in your motion skill in time or just whatever, something happened. And Murderous Rise, always good. Always someone better, always good. And Cloud Pierce Lighting, always good. And let's see if I use this against the Spear Immortal. So, you can see that my cooldown of my special skill is 4 seconds. And I'm still using the standard Winged Sword, but now my damage is much higher. It takes 15 seconds to bring down the Spear Immortal, which is already brings this build to a pretty good damage range. And yeah, that's basically it about Winged Sword. As I mentioned before, it is one of the easiest builds to let you go through the game without any problem. It might get really boring, and if you are too much used to them not getting hit and not really, try to use your head to actually build your character, it might make the game too boring for you. You might don't even want to try it again. And of course, one of the biggest problems that you cannot deal with King Lu Hua with this build because he will seal your motion skill. So remember that as well. Anyway, so if you're interested in this game and in many other builds, please take a look at my other videos, and if you find my videos helpful, please consider leave a like or subscribe. And thank you, and see you next time.